Now, just last year, Javier Millei won the presidential election in Argentina. Recently, he just sat down with Lex Freeman. Now, if you have not seen this interview, it's a couple hours long. Highly suggest that you take a look at it. A lot of the issues that were going on in Argentina, we're experiencing in the US today. And just in 11 months, Javier Millei talks about some of the things that Argentina and his administration have done to kind of redirect some things that weren't going great. So let's deep dive into the video. We'll start with this clip.
We first took office. Basically, what we found was that in the first week of December, inflation was rising at a rate of 1% per day, which means 3,700% annually. In the first half of December, it had accelerated to 7,500% annually. When you look at wholesale inflation in December of last year, it was 54%, which if annualized would equate to an inflation rate of 17,000% per year. And in addition, Argentina, for the previous 10 years, had not been growing, with a drop in GDP per capita of approximately 15%.
Now, obviously, in the US, we're experiencing that same thing. We're not at that percentage. They're in a significantly higher in dire situation than we are. I mean, that's like a thing of bread being, 1% one day, it's going up by, 1%. It's $1 today, $1.01 tomorrow. But they're talking about thousands of percent, hundreds of percent more. You going and buying a loaf of bread for $1, and then you go tomorrow and it's $7 or it's $10. I mean, we're not at that rate, but obviously we're going through something similar. In terms of number and drop in GDP, we haven't had such a tough decline. But when we look at our markets, it kind of holds true. I mean, we have, I think, 7 companies and probably less than that today that's holding up our market. We're, 5 to 7 companies bad performance away from having a downsloping stock market. So we know that our economy is not doing as well as they're telling us.
So to us, it was crucial to end fiscal deficit. One of the things we promised during the campaign had been to reduce the number of ministries. And indeed, we reduced to less than half the number of ministries because we went to 9 ministries. Today we have 8. We have also laid off a large number of civil employees. Today, I can say that we've already dismissed about 50,000 of them.
Think about that. Now, that's been thrown out there and it's very controversial. They're talking about lowering expenses of the government. His focus was to lower the expenses and the government programs that are out there. To me, that was a great idea. A lot of times politicians come into office and they don't address the expenses that we're currently going through and the waste. So when we talk about lowering and getting rid of a lot of government programs, it's a very unfortunate thing because a lot of people are going to lose jobs and you don't want to see people lose jobs. But at some point, you have to fix the issue. And I think our last jobs report showed that we only grew 12,000 jobs. However, the government grew 40,000 jobs. And I think that's what they're doing with Doge and coming in with the Trump administration. These guys are going to come in and, say what departments and agencies aren't providing us value. And, from a government efficiency standpoint, we have to have things in place that provide value, not just give a handout. We have a welfare program. We don't want to completely eliminate welfare, but you have to cut off the people who are making money off of the people who need the funds. So if you have a middle agency that's overseeing the welfare program that's not really doing anything, why are we giving them a percentage of the welfare proceeds? Cut them out, give the money directly to the people so that they get more money, but we don't have to spend the money for the overseers of the money of the welfare programs. And that's what Javier Mellei is talking about in this particular clip. I agree with that. I mean, how could you disagree with that?
We achieved fiscal balance as far as the Treasury is concerned. This is very important because in the last 123 years, Argentina had a deficit for 113 of them, and in the 10 years, it did not have a deficit because it was not paying the debt. So that was absolutely false. And they told us it would be impossible to do that. We had planned to do so within a year. And they said it wasn't possible to adjust by more than 1 percentage point. And we achieved fiscal balance in the month of January, that is the first month of administration.
Deficit. Now, we obviously can relate to that. We have, I think, over 30 trillion, U.S. deficit, and we're paying, $1 billion a day just on the interest. So we understand that when we got a huge deficit, they were able to clear their deficit in the first month. I mean, and obviously that comes from cutting expenses tremendously, cutting, what he calls ministries, but I think we would call agencies, in government agencies in the U.S. You have to cut spending and you have to increase revenue. And the increasing of revenues, that we're not going to get much into is the tariffs. In addition to being a negotiation tactic, I think it's a way to increase revenues if we did have to implement them, even though I think the tariffs are more of a negotiation play as opposed to, actually going through and increasing those increasing those tariffs on, the different countries that we've been threatening to. But you have to increase revenues and decrease expenses. And that's how we're going to take care of the deficit. I don't think we're going to obviously be able to do it as quickly as Argentina did because we have much, deeper issues when it comes to our deficit. But we're on the right track. I mean, they had to do the same thing. We need to go in, we need to cut expenses, increase revenues, get better deals on, different things, bring more money into the U.S. so that we can clear our debt and put us in if not a surplus, at least help us break even on our deficit. We're on a road to 100. Man, I appreciate you guys tuning into the video. This one was a pretty interesting one. I really, really, truly encourage you, as I said earlier in the video, to take a look at the full interview. I thought, Mellei was spot on, very intelligent, obviously. He's very in the know in terms of, his policy and economic policy. And, you can tell he's a very intelligent individual. I wish Argentina lots of success, but I also wish us in the U.S. success. Listen, like and subscribe to the channel. Get me to 100 so we can go to 1,000 and so forth and so on. I appreciate you. Hit the notification bell so you know when I drop new content. I'll see you in the next video. I'm out. Peace.